English exploration and colonization. Famous British explorers Sir Walter Raleigh, born 1552 to 1618, sponsored the first British colony in the Americas, Roanoke, explored the area that is now North Carolina to Florida. Henry Hudson, 1565 to 1611, his learnings about the geography of North America waterways provided valuable information to other explorers. The Hudson Bay, Hudson River, and it are all named in his honor. During the early and mid 1500s, the British were not very interested in colonizing the New World. This would change, however, as time passed, and by the late 1500s, the British began actively exploring and looking for places to build colonies. The British realized that by building colonies in the New World, that these colonies would then supply England, the mother country, with raw materials and be a source to sell finished goods to, thereby helping England grow its wealth and power. Review questions. What type of economic system is this known as? Attempts at building a colony. Initially, the British were unsuccessfully in establishing colonies in the New World, in both Newfoundland and at Roanoke, the lost colony. Roanoke was their first attempt at building a colony in 1587. It was located on an island off the coast of what is now the state of North Carolina. Nobody knows for sure what happened, but shortly after establishing the colony, its leader, John White, sailed for England to request more supplies and manpower. When he returned, the colonists who stayed behind had abandoned it. Archaeologists digs for the artifacts. In 1607, the British established their first permanent colony, Jamestown. Jamestown is located in what is now the state of Virginia. The colony was founded by Captain John Smith. Life was very difficult early on in Jamestown, and many of those who went there ended up dying. Starvation and disease were very common. Of the approximately first 3,000 immigrants to Jamestown, only around 600 were able to survive beyond a few years after they arrived. That's 80% of them, are 8 out of every 10 people. Despite poor living conditions, many people ended up in Jamestown. The climate and soil conditions around Jamestown were perfect for growing crops, especially tobacco. Growing tobacco required a lot of manual labor. Virginia House of Burgesses, the first representative form of government in the English colonies, first met on July 30th, 1619, at church in Jamestown. Being that it was a representative government, those who were members of the House of Burgesses were elected by the colonists. In order to be able to vote, you had to be male, at least 17 years old, owned land. The Pilgrims came to the New World in search of religious freedom. They disagreed with the teaching of the Church of England. The Pilgrims were Puritans and because of their beliefs became known as separatists. They set sail from England on the Mayflower in the early fall of 1620. A couple of months after setting sail from England, in early November of 1620, they reached land in what is now the state of Massachusetts. They landed at Plymouth Rock. The number 1620 has been etched into the rock to commemorate their year of their arrival. While on board the Mayflower, a group of pilgrims created the Mayflower Compact, which outlined that they are govern themselves and not take orders from others. The Mayflower Compact was significant because it was an early example of government and for the people. Upon making landfill, the Pilgrims created Plymouth Colony. William Bradford, one of the most influential leaders of the Pilgrims, he was elected as the first governor of Plymouth Colony and re-elected 30 times. He also responsible for creating the term pilgrims. The first Thanksgiving. The first winter that the pilgrims spent in Plymouth Colony was very harsh and numerous pilgrims died. The pilgrims soon formed a friendly relationship with the local Native Americans who taught them how to successfully plant crops. The pilgrims' harvest that year was bountiful, and to show their thanks, they invited the natives join them in the celebration of their harvest. The very end of the PowerPoint. Hopefully, you will read this or listen to it and be able to answer all of your questions. Make sure you pay attention to the subtopics that are here.